Hello, this is Gavin Patterson from Studio 1790, and in today's video I'm going to go through a couple of techniques that I use when mixing, and it's to do with creating depth in a mix. So we'll just go straight into Cubase and get started on it. So I've got a couple of recordings here. I've just got a little piano keyboard loop and a drum loop just to show off a couple of plugins and techniques that I use to get 3 dimensions in a mix. So keep it simple. Today's a sort of basic tutorial on creating depth. So we'll start with the piano. So there are multiple ways of creating sort of 3D depth in a stereo mix. Number one is pan. So I'll play a bit. This is a stereo recording of a keyboard piano sound. It's already stereo, and how you can tell that is if you open up the waveform, you can see this is the right signal and the left signal. You can see that they're different. So you can see like this note here is louder on the right than it is on the left. Same here. So it's a stereo signal. If it was mono, it would both of them would be the same, or there would be just one in the middle, just one signal. You can get dual mono. It just means that the left and right information is the same. So it's technically stereo, but the audio itself is mono. A little bit complicated, but yeah. So we'll start off with pan. So I'll solo this and I'll just loop this section. So this is it, just pan center, and it's stereo. Fine. So nothing remarkable there. So pan, for those of you who don't know, pan is the volume of the signal in your speakers. So if it's louder on the left, then you perceive it to be coming from the left, so you can pan it left. So it will now come out the left speaker only. Or the left headphone. If you're wearing headphones, it'll be your left earphone or headphone. And as you move it towards the center, the level of the right hand side will be lifted up. Pretty basic stuff, but that is the first thing to do with stereo depth and 3D depth and feel. Pan. If you are struggling to hear things in a mix, the first thing you should always try is try moving around using pan, and you might be able to create a little bit more space for whatever you're trying to make the focus of attention, whether it's a vocal or lead guitar or something that's maybe not cutting through the mix. Try clutterifying, I don't know if that's a word, by panning things. That's what I do anyway, and it works a lot of the time. Of course, turning the volume up and down is another way of doing it. So you can perceive a sound to be closer to you if it's louder. Just how things naturally work in the world. Like if a thing is louder, it tends to be closer to you. If it's quieter, then it's further away, and you can do that by using volume, just simply turning the thing up and down. Again, pretty basic. So that's your first protocol if you're trying to get depth in a mix. The next thing you can use is reverb. Reverb and delay and things like that. So we'll keep on with the piano just now. So there's a technique I like to use, not specifically on pianos, but more so like guitars and vocals, things I like to do. So I've got it bussed here to an effects channel, and subsequently I've got my permanent buses sending to all my effect sends. So I've got 8 effect sends, 4 delays and 4 reverbs. So what I like to do is I like to bus to a delay, and then I like to bus the delay to the reverb, and I'll show you what that sounds like. So what I'll do is I'll bus it to crowd. I'll bus it to the crowd one just to show. Cool. So that's if I solo the crowd just now. So as you can see here, I also have the option of sending the crowd. So what the crowd is, just to give you some clarity, as you could hear there, it basically makes it sound like a crowd of pianos. So again, I'll solo it. I'll show you what's happening. Wrong thing. Here we go. So it's using delay to give the effect as if there's more than one piano playing. So it takes, copies and pastes the piano essentially, pans it, and delays it. So it makes it sound like there's more than one. Pretty cool effect. And let's see what happens when I send the crowd to a reverb. So what's happening there is the direct signal, that's just the keyboard, is being sent to a delay, and then that delay is then being sent to the reverb. There is no direct signal going to a reverb. And what that does is it creates layers. So rather than just having a straight old reverb, let me show you what that sounds like. So this is just your standard reverb. Then crowd and reverb. You can feel the layers happening just by bussing it that way. I like the way it all gels together. It's really good in a mix. Obviously this is just one piano, but in a full mix, when you've got multiple instruments being bussed to the same reverb and the same delays all together, everything becomes so gelled together rather than having a reverb for every channel. So I've got another plugin that I like to use if it's a solo piano or a solo acoustic guitar or something like that. I like to use this plugin here. Let's see if I can find it. TrueVerb. I really like this one, and it's the weirdest thing. It sounds like a real room. I'll show you what I mean. It has this early reflections button, which sounds really cool. So this is the direct signal. It's got standard reverb there, as you can hear. It's quite quiet, but just a normal reverb. But it's also got this early reflections. I'll just turn it up. I love that. It's like you can actually feel the room that the piano's in. It's so cool. It's like that sort of small room feel on top of the direct signal plus the long tail reverb after it. So again, this is using two types of reverb, effectively. So you've got the early reflections short reverb, like a really, really close, like cupboard sound. And then it's also got the big long reverb to blend into it. And it's doing the same thing as that technique I was showing you just now. It's a way of creating this combined space. It works so well on acoustic guitar, this plugin. It's by Waves, TrueVerb. It sounds incredible. Yeah, it's great. So that's a couple of things I use. We'll move on to some drums, and it's the same deal here as well. So let me set up a loop. So it's just a MIDI drum loop, nothing too crazy. And again, reverb on drums, it's a must. Usually short room, you don't want anything too long, otherwise it can get messy, depending on what it is, of course. I'll show you. Too much. Not bad. Got some delays there. You can get some cool effects if you put some delays on drums. It can be a bit weird sometimes though, so use it sparingly. So I've got the TrueVerb on this as well. We'll see how that sounds. It's cool. I don't know if I like it too much for drums, but it certainly does something. With drums, you want to maybe send your individual drums to specific reverbs. You might not want to, because as you can hear, the bass drum sounds quite reverby when I send it to the room. It's a bit much. You would probably want to just send like a snare bottom and maybe a room mic. Or you could go into your room if it's rumbling like that. And then turn the low end down. But when you do that, you sacrifice some sound of the snare. So yeah, because this is just a MIDI sample, I can't isolate the individual instruments of the kit, you know. So you've got, you know, your kick, snare, all that. What I would have to do is like have individual MIDI channels for each instrument, which is totally doable, but just for the example just now. And there's one more technique that I sometimes use. It's called the Haas method or technique. And what it does is, let me just open up a version here. What it does is it creates a copy, pans one left, pans one right, and then delays one of them. And it gives you a stereo effect. So let's make this keyboard mono just now, just to emphasize this. So I'll just engage the mono button. So this keyboard should be in mono. Yep, that's mono. So, okay, obviously this keyboard is in stereo. Let's say you accidentally recorded it in mono, or you only had one mic and you recorded a real piano, and you used one mic, and you maybe don't want a mono sound. Well, you can either put reverb on it, and reverb is stereo, or you can use the Haas technique. So this is mono. Haas. So you can increase and decrease the delay time. And then this button here, left and right, is the channel that you are delaying. So if I delay the left channel, if I'm delaying the left channel, that means that the right channel comes out the speakers first. So if I put this as 0, well, it doesn't go to 0. If I go to 0, nothing happens. It'll just sound like this. The wider that goes, the more of the stereo effect happens. So you can kind of fake stereo. You can do this with guitars as well. Although if you want to get a stereo guitar sound, I recommend just recording 2 takes and just panning one left and panning one right. There are many different types of plugins. This is the KHS Haas thing. It comes with Slate Digital's bundle. It's pretty good. I've got a couple of them. There's a more creative musical one that Waves do, called the Artificial Double Tracker, and it sounds cooler. So you can really mess with it. So you can adjust the pan. You can also adjust distortion. So it's pretty versatile. So that's a method you can use to create some stereo 3D vibes in a mix if you're struggling to get things to pop out. So you've got reverb, delay into reverb, pan, volume, the Haas effect or the double tracker. And that's pretty much all I wanted to say. I just wanted to do this video because I remember early on when I started mixing, that was a big problem I had, was trying to create space in a mix. All my mixes were very cluttered, and just with learning over time, these techniques really helped me create some clarity in my stereo field. So hopefully that's been helpful. And if you found it helpful, please leave a like on this video. And if you enjoy this content, please consider subscribing to the channel. This is my 20th video. I'm going to pause for just now. And if anyone has any requests for future videos, leave them on the comment of this video and I'll hopefully make a video on it. But I'm going to slow up my release of videos just now. Getting into summertime and it's quite busy around here. So, but if anyone has any requests for videos on topics they want to learn about, let me know and I'll get round to making that. But as always, hope you enjoyed the video and thanks for watching.